You know, so many of us walk through life carrying this invisible weight. We smile on the outside, we go to work, we show up for people, but deep down, we're dragging chains behind us. Old memories, regrets, things we wish we had said or done differently, people who hurt us, times we failed. And even though the moment has passed, even though the situation is long gone, we keep replaying it in our minds like a broken record. But here's what we don't always realize. Holding on to the past doesn't protect us. It punishes us. It keeps us locked in a story that no longer serves us. And the more we cling to it, the heavier it gets. The more we feed those memories with emotion, the more real they become in the present. The truth is, the past can't hurt you anymore unless you keep reliving it. Let me ask you something. Have you ever walked into a room and smelled something familiar? Maybe an old perfume or a song from your childhood, and instantly you're back there. That's the power of memory. But if memories can bring back joy, they can also bring back pain. And it's up to us to choose which ones we nourish. Sometimes we tell ourselves, if I let go of this, it means it didn't matter. But that's not true. Letting go doesn't erase what happened. It doesn't mean the pain wasn't real. It means you've decided not to let that pain define you anymore. It means you're ready to stop renting space in your mind to moments that don't pay you back with peace. Think of it like this. Imagine you're on a hike and you've got a backpack. At first, it's light. But every time someone wrongs you, or you make a mistake, or something doesn't go your way, you pick up a stone and drop it in the bag. One stone, then another and another. Eventually, that bag is too heavy to carry. It slows you down. It breaks you down, and you're wondering why it's so hard to keep moving forward. The problem isn't the path. It's what you're carrying. So how do we begin to let go? It starts with acknowledgement. You have to be honest with yourself about what you're still holding onto. You can't heal what you pretend doesn't hurt, and once you see it clearly, you give yourself permission to release it. Not all at once, not overnight, but piece by piece, breath by breath, moment by moment. Some people will never say sorry. Some situations will never make sense, and some chapters will never have closure. But your healing doesn't depend on them. It depends on you. You don't need a perfect ending to let something go. You just need to decide that your peace is more important than understanding every detail. Because when you let go, something incredible happens. Your energy returns. Your creativity flows again. Your heart feels lighter. You make space for something new, something better. You begin to live again, not just exist. And that's what this is really about, choosing to live fully, freely, unapologetically, unchained from what was, open to what can be. So if there's one thing you take from this, let it be this. You deserve to move forward. You deserve to be free, and it all begins the moment you decide to just let it go. You know, one of the hardest things we'll ever do in life is forgive someone who never said sorry. Someone who hurt us, betrayed us, maybe even walked away without a second glance. It's hard because everything inside us screams they don't deserve forgiveness, and maybe they don't. But what if I told you forgiveness was never about them? See, we often confuse forgiveness with approval. We think forgiving someone means we're saying what they did was okay. But that's not it at all. Forgiveness doesn't mean you're weak. It doesn't mean you're letting them off the hook. It means you're taking yourself off their hook. You're choosing peace over pain, freedom over bitterness. You're choosing to stop reliving the hurt over and over again. The truth is, holding on to anger might feel like power at first. It gives us a sense of control, like we're still fighting back. But in reality, We're just building walls around our own hearts. We're drinking poison and expecting the other person to get sick. And over time, that bitterness doesn't stay in one place. It spills over into our relationships, into our work, into how we see the world, until eventually we're no longer protecting ourselves. We're limiting ourselves. So what if forgiveness is actually one of the most powerful things you can do? What if it's not a gift to the one who hurt you, but a gift to yourself? Because when you forgive, you reclaim your story. You say you may have caused pain, but you don't get to write the ending. You take your power back, not by getting revenge, not by making them feel bad, but by choosing not to carry the hurt anymore. And listen, I get it. Some wounds run deep. Maybe it wasn't just one moment. Maybe it was years. Maybe it was someone who was supposed to love you. And forgiveness feels impossible, but here's the secret. Forgiveness isn't a feeling. It's a choice. And sometimes you make that choice again and again, every single day, until your heart starts to catch up. It's not about forgetting. It's about releasing. It's about saying, I deserve peace more than I deserve justice. Because waiting for someone to say sorry, or waiting for karma to make it right, will only keep you stuck. You're handing the keys to your healing over to someone who may never change. That's not strength. That's delay. Real strength is when you look in the mirror and say, they hurt me, but they don't get to have me. Forgiveness doesn't erase what happened, but it does change what happens next. It opens the door to joy again, to trust, to peace, not because they made it right, but because you decided to rise. And sometimes the person you most need to forgive is yourself, for what you didn't know, for what you tolerated, for how long you held on. You're human. You did your best with what you knew at the time. So offer yourself that same grace. Because healing begins with compassion for others, yes, but especially for yourself. You can't move forward if you're always looking back. And you can't build a better life if your hands are full of old wounds. So let go. Not because they earned your forgiveness, but because you earned your freedom. We spend so much of our lives trying to control everything, outcomes, people, situations, even how others see us. It's exhausting, isn't it? We think that if we can just manage every detail, we'll feel safe. We'll feel secure. But life doesn't work that way. No matter how tightly you hold the steering wheel, there will always be traffic. There will always be detours, storms will come, people will act in ways you didn't expect. Things will fall apart, no matter how hard you try to hold them together. And that's where so much of our stress, anxiety, and frustration comes from, trying to control things that were never ours to control in the first place. Think about it. How often do we waste precious energy worrying about how someone will react? Obsessing over whether something might go wrong, overanalyzing something that's already happened. We run these mental simulations, trying to prepare for every outcome, and in doing so, we rob ourselves of peace in the present. But what if the real power isn't in controlling? What if it's in trusting? Trusting that you'll handle whatever comes. Trusting that even if it doesn't go the way you hoped, something better might unfold. Letting go of control doesn't mean giving up. It means choosing flow over force. It means showing up fully, doing your part, and then releasing the outcome. Because the truth is, the only things you ever really have control over are your thoughts, your choices, and your responses. That's it. You can't control how someone feels about you. You can't control the past. You can't control what the world throws at you. But you can control how you show up. You can choose peace over panic. You can choose grace over reaction. That's your power. That's your anchor in the chaos. Imagine standing in the middle of a storm and instead of fighting the wind, you plant your feet in the ground. You breathe. You don't try to stop the storm, you just stop letting it control you. That's what it means to let go of control. You accept what you can't change. You focus your energy where it actually makes a difference within. And I know, it's scary. Letting go of control feels like stepping into the unknown. But the truth is, control is often just an illusion. We think we're in charge, but life reminds us again and again. Things shift, people change, plans fall through. And in those moments, we either break or we bend, we either resist or we release. And releasing doesn't mean apathy. It means peace. It means trusting the process, even when it doesn't make sense yet. It means giving your best, and then letting go of what happens next. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. The more we try to control, the more we suffer. The more we surrender, the more we grow. So instead of asking, how can I control this? Maybe ask, what's mine to carry and what's mine to let go? Because when you stop wasting your strength on the things you can't change, you gain clarity, focus, and peace for the things you can. And that's where your life begins to transform. Let go. You were never meant to hold it all anyway. There's something inside all of us that fights reality when it doesn't match our expectations. We hold tight to how we thought things should go, how people should act, how life should unfold, and when that doesn't happen, we resist. We push back, we get angry, we question everything, and it's in that space of resistance that we suffer the most. You've probably heard the phrase, what you resist persists. And it's true, the more we resist what is, the more we empower it to control us. Resistance doesn't change reality. It just intensifies our pain. We create this tug-of war with life, trying to force things into our version of right. And every time life pulls back, and it will, we get dragged by our expectations, but here's the shift. When we stop resisting, we start healing. Acceptance isn't surrendering to defeat. It's not saying, I'm okay with this forever. It's saying, this is where I am right now, and I choose to stop fighting what already exists. Think about it. You can't change something if you're too busy denying it's even real. Growth starts with honesty, with facing the truth without running from it. That might mean accepting that a relationship has changed, that a dream didn't go as planned, that something unfair happened, and no amount of overthinking will rewrite it. When we resist, we stay stuck in the story. We replay conversations in our heads, we argue with reality, we wish it had been different. But when we accept, we give ourselves permission to move forward, not because we love what happened, but because we love ourselves enough to stop being stuck in the pain of it. And I know sometimes acceptance feels like giving up, like letting go of control, and in a way it is. But it's not weakness, it's wisdom, because you can't heal from something you're still fighting. You can't move forward if you're clinging to how it should have been. Acceptance doesn't mean you're okay with everything. It just means you're choosing clarity over chaos. When you accept what is, you see things as they really are, not through the lens of fear or hurt or ego. That clarity gives you the power to respond rather than react, to shift rather than spiral. There's a peace that comes when you stop asking why me, and start asking what now. That moment of surrender is not the end, it's the beginning. It's the moment you stop letting the past or the present control you. It's when your energy starts flowing toward healing instead of hurting. And this doesn't mean you never feel pain again. Life will still throw its punches. But now, instead of resisting, you meet life where it is. You breathe. You adjust. You move with it, not against it. That's where your strength truly shows up. Not in fighting the storm, but in learning how to walk through it with grace. So maybe today, the most powerful thing you can do is stop resisting and start accepting. Not because everything's perfect, but because it's time to free yourself. Letting go is scary, especially when it's all we've ever known. Sometimes we hold on so tightly, not because it's good for us, but because it's familiar. It's what we've grown used to, even if it hurts. But the truth is, you can't grow and cling at the same time. Something has to give. Something has to be released so something better can arrive. We often think letting go is about loss, but in reality, it's about creating space. You can't pour fresh water into a cup that's already full of mud. If your hands are gripping the past, the pain, the mistakes, the toxic people, you won't be able to catch what life is trying to give you next. Growth is uncomfortable. It stretches you. It breaks your patterns. It asks you to step into uncertainty. And for many of us, that's terrifying. So we keep going back to the old job, the old relationship, the old mindset. Not because it's helping us, but because at least it's predictable. At least we know how it feels. But here's the thing. Comfort can be a cage. It keeps you small. It convinces you that okay is enough, that settling is safer than stepping into the unknown. But deep down, you know better, you feel it. Those quiet moments where your soul whispers, you were made for more than this. Letting go is an act of self-trust. It's believing that what's ahead of you is greater than what's behind you. It's choosing to walk away from what's no longer growing you, even if it once felt like everything. Because not everything you lose is a loss. Sometimes it's a blessing in disguise. You're not meant to stay the same. You're meant to evolve, just like nature. You're supposed to have seasons. Some seasons bloom, others strip everything bare, but even in the barest season, there's movement, there's preparation, and for that to happen, something has to fall away. That's not failure, that's transformation. We often hear "let it go" like a cliché, but it's one of the most powerful things you can do for your own freedom. When you let go of needing everyone's approval, you start honoring your own voice. When you let go of guilt, you make room for self-compassion. When you let go of fear, you create space for possibility. And letting go doesn't always mean walking away. Sometimes it means letting go of the version of yourself that's been holding you back, the part that doubts, that settles, that clings to old stories about who you are and what you deserve. Growth demands space, and space only comes when you clear out what no longer serves your soul. So maybe today, ask yourself, what am I holding on to that I've outgrown? And then be brave enough to release it. Not because it was never good, but because you're ready for what's next. Let go not for the sake of losing, but for the sake of becoming. Letting go isn't just about releasing the pain. It's about making space for something deeper, something more powerful, your peace. That's really what we're all looking for, isn't it? Peace, a quiet mind, a heart that isn't constantly racing with what ifs and what was. The ability to breathe without feeling the weight of yesterday pulling you back. But here's the part most people miss. Peace doesn't come from everything being perfect. It doesn't come from controlling every outcome or getting closure from everyone who hurt you. Peace comes when you decide that your well-being is more important than the story you keep telling yourself. It comes when you stop arguing with your past and start accepting that healing begins when the war inside you ends. We live in a world that praises hustle, revenge, proving people wrong. But peace is quiet. It doesn't scream. It doesn't demand attention. That's why it's often overlooked. But it's in that silence that true strength lies. Not in the noise of the fight, But in the calm after you've chosen to let go of what's not worth holding, you might think, but I'll have peace once I get the answers. Or I'll finally feel free when they understand how much they hurt me. But the truth is, your peace should never depend on someone else's apology, or the perfect ending, or everything going your way. Peace is a choice you make for yourself. You don't wait for the storm to pass, you find your stillness within it. It's not easy, because peace asks you to stop reliving the same old stories. It asks you to stop picking the scab and let the wound heal. It asks you to sit with yourself in all your pain and imperfections and say, even this, I can make peace with this. And when you do, something amazing happens. The noise fades, the tension releases, the burden lifts. It doesn't mean life won't get hard again, but you'll be different within it. Calmer, clearer, more grounded, because now, instead of reacting from a place of old wounds, you're responding from a place of inner wholeness. Peace isn't passive, it's powerful. It's what helps you walk away without bitterness. It's what lets you love without fear. It's what gives you clarity in chaos. And the beautiful thing is, it was never outside of you. It was always there, underneath the noise, underneath the pain, just waiting for you to stop gripping the past so tightly and return to yourself. You don't have to chase peace. You simply have to allow it. Allow the release, allow the surrender, allow the quiet to be enough. Because in the end, peace isn't the prize you earn after you fix everything. It's the foundation you stand on while everything is still unfolding. And maybe, just maybe, that's where freedom truly begins.